Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Corki top build, right? So we're going to take a look at this build, which is used by some of the top players. So once again, now jumping into the top 3 players, you can see that this is basically the exact copy of the number 2 player's build, who used to be number 1 when I was playing this build. The number 3 player has kind of the same items but in a different order, and the top player has foregone the charge blade for a GA. So I personally am not a fan of CHAARGEBLADE, and it's not that I don't like CHAARGEBLADE, I do, but I like going for Bloodthirster because I think just having pure stats is just a lot more helpful, right? But let's take a look at the build, right? So I'm not gonna explain too much. You want to go Gluttonous Greaves Rush or just for the early game power, and then of course you have your Mana Immune just for that extra mana, because Corki has a lot of mana issues if you don't go for Mana Immune, as well as of course getting the damage on your autos as well as your abilities. And then you have Triforce, of course. Triforce, really easy to proc the Spellblade with your multiple rockets, as well as, of course, giving you very good stats, more tankiness, ability haste, attack speed, and AD, all good stuff. And then, of course, you have your Charge Blade. So Charge Blade actually works out pretty well on Corki because um, you get ability haste, of course. You get attack speed, which initially I kind of thought wasn't really very important, which it really isn't, right? But having a little bit higher attack speed is pretty nice. But of course, you have the Sunburst passive, which allows you to proc in between your abilities, a bit like Spellblade, and this of course gives you that extra magic damage profile, which helps out a lot against tanks. Right, then you have more reminder to deal with the tanks with the armor pen, and also Grievous Wounds to cut healing, and of course finally you have IE as a last item just for increased crit damage. And the reason you go for IE last is because if you go for it here and the second last slot, you only have 2 crit items, right? So you want to kind of have 2 crit items already and then go for IE as a third one. This makes a lot more sense. So for the runes, if you take a look here, nowadays Conquer is now way more popular than going for Fleet Footwork, because most people have kind of realized that with Conquer you get more damage overall. So it's going to be Conquer for the AD and the Vamp, and the rest is pretty standard. You have your Brutal, your Giant Slayer, your Alacrity, as well as your Bone Plating, and finally for the spells you have Flash and Cleanse against CC. If you don't need Cleanse, of course Ghost or Barrier works as well. But with that said, let's take a look at the gameplay. Okay, let's take a look at our gameplay itself. So first things first, right? Corki wants to play with an engaged support, right? You're not gonna have a very good time with an enchanter support, and the main reason I say that is because with Corki, you want to be landing your Gatling gun onto them to shred their defenses, right? And if you have a enchanter support, it's really difficult to do that because no one is there to lock someone down for you, unless of course you get into an all-in. So Corki loves playing with an engager support, and in this game, of course, we have a Leona. And the second thing I kind of want to talk about is the Corki nerfs, right? So Corki did get nerfed back in, I think it was 6.1D or C. And I initially kind of thought that the nerfs weren't too bad. But after playing a good amount of Corki, I can actually kind of feel the nerfs. I say that, and as we get a kill onto the Pike right here, like, I mean, he did get a base AD nerf, so he does do less damage at level 1 and the lower levels, because obviously, base AD hits you a lot in the early game, but also kind of hits you in the mid and late game as well, because you're always going to be missing some AD that you should have had. But yeah, you can definitely feel the Corki nerfs. He's definitely not as strong. Leona here gets hooked in by Pike. It's probably going to be a kill. Kaisa picks up the kill here, and I'm not really able to do anything to help out. I mean, I did lay down some cover fire, I guess, but we're not going to be able to get the kill from that. So here we're just going to reset and pick up the Gluttonous Greaves. Alright, but yeah, so as I was saying, the nerfs are kind of sizable. Like the nerf on the E damage shred at first kind of didn't seem obvious, but when you kind of use it after a while, you do kind of feel that you do less damage. So definitely, you can kind of feel the nerfs, and yeah, that's just a little bit unfortunate because means Corki is quite a little bit weaker than what he used to be. However, that's alright. He is still a pretty strong champion. So here we have the wave kind of frozen on our side, and with that, Leona can kind of threaten and engage onto the enemy team like this. Although this is a little bit far forward, we do still get a little bit of a trade. I don't think we win the trade though because of Pike's great health. So Leona is going to end up taking a lot more damage than what we output, which is not a very good thing whatsoever. But we still have the wave kind of in our area. it is going to, however, slow push out. Now here we get ganked. However, I'm just gonna commit to the kill onto Kai'Sa. Right? We get the kill onto Kai'Sa. I'm trying to get the kill onto Pyke as well. Pyke very intelligently flashes away toward the river to get safe. And here Yasuo's now coming in, gets stunned by the Pyke. Really poor wind wall there by Yasuo. Yasuo now trying to 1v1 Xin Zhao. He should have this, and he does get the kill onto Xin Zhao. And takes a minion as well. I mean, he honestly might as well take the other two minions, because I'm not going to get them anyway, because my minion wave is going to destroy those two minions. And I'm not going to be able to get it, right? Like you can see here, the two minions have died, and the wave is crashing into the tower. So here now we've just ticked over to level 5. Now, I would say that Corki ulti is not as big of a power spike as a lot of other ultis. Of course, it does matter because you have an extra damage tool in the form of your ulti rockets, but it's just not like a very impactful ulti. Pyke is roaming to mid, as you can see here, so Kai'Sa is alone for a little bit. Pyke with a very good roam timer though, because the wave is not really here, and now that the wave is here, he's probably roaming back. There he is. So we cannot really take advantage of this to kill the Kai'Sa. So really, actually really well played, you know, roam from Pyke, right? So here the stun goes in onto the Kai'Sa, but Leona doesn't follow up her own ulti, unfortunately, so Kai'Sa doesn't get locked down and is able to ult to safety. So no, the play kind of ends there, and we're now gonna get off a reset. And I'm just gonna pick up the Sheen. Of course, the usual 2-Adam combo. Sheen is really helpful for the early game. Without it, you're going to be lacking a lot of damage, which is kind of why I don't like rushing Manamune personally. I like to go for the Sheen instead. I know there are people who, of course, love to just rush the Manamune to get it evolved into Mirror Mana as quickly as you can, which, you know, there's nothing wrong with that one, but it's just that, of course, you're going to be lacking damage in the early game. So here, again, not too much is happening. We're just securing some farm. But the Dragon and the Herald is going to be spawning in 20 seconds or so. So there is probably going to be some action happening. Speaking of action, you can see a skirmish in the mid lane. A 2v2 between the mid-jungle duos in the mid lane. And top lane, we can see apparently Urgot is roaming because Gwen is pinging danger. Pyke has roamed as well. Suddenly a 2v2 becomes a 4v2 with Pyke roaming from our lane as well, which we did not ping, so that was definitely on us. Like, we should have been pinging that Pyke was missing, and our team as a result ends up dying, and the enemy team is going to be able to pick up a free dragon. Although I would say that them getting a free dragon is not a very big deal. I mean, it's Ocean Dragon, and it's not the end of the world. I'm kind of glad they actually didn't go for the Herald, because I think Herald is way more valuable than Dragon. You guys know this. I say this very often in my videos. I think Herald's way more strong than Dragon. You get to remove a tower most of the time, and you also get all the tower playing goals. So just a very strong, you know, just very strong tool to have. Speaking of the Herald, there's a huge fight at the Herald, 4v4 at the Herald, I believe, with myself and Kai'Sa, the only people not in the fight, you know, just farming it up here. Now, I do note that Kai'Sa has Terminus, so I definitely do not want to fight her, because I don't think I'm going to win against the Kai'Sa who has Terminus. We both have the same KDA, very similar goal, but the difference here is that because I went for Sheen, I don't have the Manamune, so I don't have my first item until now when I'm back and pick up the Manamune. Even if I did have the Manamune Sheen is not anything close to Terminus, right? Terminus is just a very strong item, gives you so much stats, you know, in general, and Kai'Sa makes very good use of those stats, and we are not really going to be able to fight her 1v1, so very important to know whether or not you win the 1v1. Like, if you don't win the 1v1, you should never take the 1v1. And here, Leona is making her way back to the lane. I'm going to assume that Pyke is coming back to the lane as well. There he is, hooks Leona into the tower. Leona stuns him, walks back out, and we're back to laning 2v2. Pyke hooks the Leona. Leona is getting pretty low, probably going to get executed by the Pyke. Yep, there it is, and Leona ends up going down. and I end up getting my dash cancelled by the pike, and I end up going down as well. So not a good look for us. We basically both got picked off by the pike, and they're basically still both full HP, right? Because we didn't actually even get into a fight with them. We just got caught. Just got caught by pike hooks, which is pretty unfortunate. And of course I did have cleanse, but I didn't really use it. Of course, honestly, by the time you get hooked, um, cleansing still helps because you do get the slow removal and hopefully you can avoid the stun. But honestly, I felt that I was just dead there, so I didn't want to waste my summoner spells. Now, speaking of which, here we're going in really deep. It's a 4v4 here. We get the kill onto the pike. Beautiful stun. Kindred goes down. Sorry, now Karma goes down as well at the hand of the Kindred. And here, I almost didn't pick up my package, but there we go. We do secure the package as Kindred is going to secure her mark. I believe she gets it, and Xin Zhao tries to put a stop to her, but we are there to cover for the Kindred. Now, Kai'Sa and Xin Zhao are both in the top side as Leona and Yasuo are trying to work on that top lane tower. I'm just gonna try to push in mid lane a little bit, but since I don't really have vision of the enemy team, I'm kind of backing off a little bit because I don't want to be stuck in a situation where I get collapsed on by multiple enemies that I didn't see coming, that were out of vision. So here, speaking of which, all the enemies are now in vision, and there's 4 of them up here. Of course, I do already have the package, so I'm just unloading the big ones onto them. Xin Zhao is gonna go down, and here we're gonna get rid of the Kai'Sa as well. I'm thinking the fight is going well, right? Then I realize my whole team is dying, and now I'm stuck in between Urgot, Pike, and Karma. So there's no way of getting out here. I just get ulted by Pike, and I do end up going down. But I did pick up like 2 kills prior to that, so it's not a horrible trade. I'm still getting a ton of gold from those kills. In the meanwhile, you can see Gwen 4, 0, and 1. First 2 items completed is just split pushing whilst this entire thing is happening. Is getting herself even more fed with another 350 gold from the tower. And yeah, Gwen is by far the most fed member of the game. Kai'Sa is actually close behind, right? So now we are behind the Kai'Sa after the last couple of team fights. And now this wave has kind of pushed in, so we're just going to push it back out. Fight is breaking up in the mid lane with dragons spawning in about 10 seconds. Kai'Sa's not in the fight though, and multiple people are dying, and I think it's like a 3v3 in the mid lane. Gwen is in that fight, and Gwen is just murdering everybody at this point because Gwen is so far ahead. Gets another kill, and I'm not needed in the fight, so I'm not even going to make my way to the area. Instead, I'm just going to start off the dragon so that my team can come in and help me secure it. Entire enemy team is dead, so this is a free dragon for us. Yasuo takes the dragon, and there we go. So here my whole team is kind of pushing in mid, enemy team is defending in mid, and a fight is breaking out once again, to no one's surprise. A very heavy skirmish game is this one. We do have a lot of skirmishing champions. Leona gets the kill on the Xin Zhao. Urgot is face tanking everybody's damage, as is the Pike. They're all kind of 1 HP here. Pike finally dies. Kindred ulti comes in, saves the Gwen here. I'm trying to kill the Kai'Sa over the wall, and I do end up getting the kill. This is pretty huge because we are winning the fight and only Karma is now left alive. So it's a 2-for-4 trade, pretty positive. I'm just trying to get some tower damage on the inhib, but there's no way I'm going to get the inhib, so there's no real point. I'm just going to end up backing off, right? No point overstaying. So on the way out, we're going to check the enemy jungle for camps. We're going to deny them these camps and ward up the enemy jungle with the Baron now spawning. Having those 2 wards in the enemy jungle will kind of show if they are coming, at least if they're coming from base toward the Baron. If my team is able to even do the Baron. Leona goes in onto the Urgot. Now this is not a very good fight. We're in a 4v2 at the moment. Leona is really tanky, tanks a lot of damage, but Gwen is now in. The cavalry has arrived. Leona's probably going to end up dying here, and Xin Zhao is trying to run me down. I cleanse out of the knockup, and I'm able to kill him by myself. Yasuo, I'm not sure. He was flashing the KS, or what was he doing, but Yeah, so now Urgot is now here as well. I'm just blasting the Urgot at range, trying to go for the Kai'Sa or the Pyke, but Urgot is standing in my way, so I'm gonna have to kind of eat through him first. Yasuo and myself are able to kill him, but Pyke comes in out of nowhere with the ulti and murders me. This does allow me to complete my Charge Blade though, so we will be able to see that Charge Blade in action in this game. In the meanwhile, my team pushes out mid as Kindred is going to get more marks. This Kindred has been doing a relatively good job of being able to secure her marks, so that's pretty good. And she's now pushing in. This is not good because she's on the opposite side of Baron, so this is kind of like a signal for the enemy team that they can, go for Baron because the enemy jungle's on the wrong side of the map. Now she gets herself on the right side of the map, using the portal, and now they're getting to a fight with Xin Zhao, who happened to be doing his blue buff when Kindred arrived on the scene. In the meantime, myself and Leona are whacking the Urgot. Now I'm honestly just using Urgot to free stack my Conqueror. So now in the fight I have a full stack Conqueror ready to output some damage. Now here I once again just get rid of the Urgot, get rid of the front line. Pyke ults in onto full HP targets. I'm not sure what that was, maybe it was auto target. But now we're going to be able to get rid of the Xin Zhao over there. I left my package behind once again. And it's going to despawn. But with us killing everybody except for the bot lane, we can now go for the Baron. Should be relatively free. Don't think that Kai'Sa and Pyke can contest this Baron at all, not against 5 people. And we secure the Baron pretty easily. Now with the Baron, we of course want to use that to push out. And the next dragon is spawning as well, but honestly it doesn't really matter because the dragon is not sold for either team and it's not really very crucial for either of us, so it's not really that important. But you should probably use this opportunity that we have the Baron to actually push down towers instead. Xin Zhao is getting caught, he ends up going down to Yasuo. And my team picks up the enemy team's red buff as dragon is now spawning. My team is doing the dragon, I'm just farming the minions in the top lane and pushing out. And now I'm making my way towards the dragon because my team is likely to get into a fight and I want to be there. We do secure the dragon and enemy team just backs off. My whole team is resetting, so I'm doing that as well, but I don't actually need to reset. So since Pyke cancelled my reset, it's fine. I'm just going to continue pushing the mid lane. Yep, and now we're just continuing to push in with the last vestiges of the Baron. Looks like a fight is going to break out here. We do have Gwen, though Gwen is super duper fed, of course. She's 9-1 and 6 with 4 full items. Now I'm just standing behind my team and just DPSing the closest target. Honestly, at this point, Gwen probably just carries the fight. She's just going for the tower. I'm trying to get the kill onto Urgot, but Urgot is really, really tanky. Now here, yeah, Kai'Sa cannot survive the Gwen's damage, and with that, we can look to end the game. We have super minions coming in from both the side lanes, and we're just gonna finish the game just like that. So I'm gonna leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.